Hi guys, it's that time again. Which is better? And in this video it will be between Halo by AMORPHIS and Origin by OMNIUM GATHERUM. And before I continue, I'm going to leave links in the description down below to check out songs by KALMAH, as well as links to check out my Instagram and Twitter page. There you get to see what bands I'm listening to, as well as what a band merch collection looks like. So looking at Halo by AMORPHIS. Now when a band like AMORPHIS has had a 30 plus year career, they're bound to have a vast portfolio. So it becomes an institution that will inevitably serve as a reference for the style in which it gravitates. AMORPHIS, with their distinctive melodic death metal trademark, are one of the clearest examples of this. Their catchy signature sound has become a familiar trend with whom, despite his predictability, always finds a way to entertain, if only because of his charming and attractive nature. Now, there's nothing wrong with good, simple songs, conventional their structures may be. Now, this is AMORPHIS' 14th studio album, and it follows the melodic pattern of the previous releases, even concluding the trilogy begun 7 years ago with the album Under the Red Cloud. With a narrative that orbits their ancient northern myths, translated from archaic Finnish, Halo casts a familiar atmosphere, yet with more down-to-earth feel that somehow thought sets it apart from Queen of Time. While there are epic segments and ambitions, Halo gives that dynamic, something that might actually appeal to the more orthodox fan base that usually favours guitar-driven soundscapes. Now the guitars take on a more prominent role, providing a slightly heavier sound to the album. The song War has a punchy main riff and stands on the most obvious example of the more straightforward approach. And Tommy Jackson's greater use of growls is a driving force as well. There is also a sense of continuity and coherence throughout Halo, as if all the songs somehow were connected by an invisible thread. At this stage of their journey, AMORPHIS are a reliable, well-oiled, finished machine that, despite its minor imperfections, it always delivers a quality product that puts them at the top of the food chain. Halo's consistency is undeniable, much like an aircraft that is way too heavy to suddenly change direction. AMORPHIS concludes this trilogy with a bittersweet familiar narrative that, despite the slightly heavier tone, it does not deviate from the original concept, and while it does not reach the peaks of that previous two chapters, it honors the legacy of a collective that blends melody and heaviness like few others. Switching gears, we're going to look at Origin by OMNIUM GATHERUM. Open-ended subjects and highly generalized concepts have been the forte of the subsets of melodic death metal that rose out of the recent aftermath of the Gothenburg scene that was created in the 1990s. Establishing a dreamy, dense, atmospheric backdrop of keyboard textures that inspired the example of dark tranquility that imbued a generally cold yet consonant style with a hazy, impressionistic flavour. It's a sound that took root primarily in the neighbouring Finland, though it has been subsequently spread further since. But since the late 2000s and even 2010s, offerings of note adherence to the substyle in Insomnium, Eternal Tears of Sorrow, Balletcore, Fractal Gates, and even OMNIUM GATHERUM have proven the most prolific and accessible contributor to its contemplative and nuanced expression of splendor with a harsh edge. The impressive output since the early 2000s has been an exercise in qualitative consistency and controlled evolution, but in the past few years it has taken on a more polished and progressive character, with the latest studio LP Origin taking this tendency further still. Dense atmospheric character and subtle naturalistic tendencies of 2018's The Burning Cold, the previous album, which was also an exercise in concisive songwriting and hook-driven refrains. Things have taken on a more drawn-out and adventurous note. Now, some of this is substantial, and it's substantial because of the lineup shifts that have occurred since. As long-time bassist Erkki Silvanonen and guitarist and lead vocal foals Jonas Koto have vacated the fold, the latter of whom was not replaced as guitarist founder Marcus Van Haller has opted to go it alone in terms of riffs and singing. As such, his wide array of expressive leads and overdubbed harmonized passages carry most of the weight, when combined with a tight foundation beneath the precision drumming of Tuomo Latvala and tastefully supportive bass work of the new recruit Mikko Archivisto. Also proves heavy-ended enough to contrast with the almost perpetual ballad of Insomnium, which also employs Valhalla as one of their guitarists to balance out the dense keyboard sounds of Archivisto with a greater level of impact. One of the most striking aspects of this 54-minute journey through sorrowful scenes of sound is that, despite its highly symmetrical and formally predictable character, it hits the ears with a fair number of unexpected twists. The most obvious deviation from the standard practice by the band is at the very beginning, in the brief instrumental prelude Emergence, which combines a bluesy rock principal theme in the guitars that almost Deep Purple-like in demeanor with a slow marching heavy stomp reminiscent of 80s heavy metal anthem and an impressive array of soaring keyboards and guitar melodies. It proves very effective, albeit unorthodox segue into the opening crusher Prime, which proves a more conventional up-tempo Megadeth banger that's about elaborately structured as the most recent material heard out of Mos Prism Est. Though a tad less technically charged, with few more twists into its musical tale, are the punchier riff happy trashes like Paragon and Friction that strike a little closer to the classic Gothenburg sound. They're smoothing out the rough edges with an assortment of charting clean sung passages and light instrumental touches. Speaking, the longer the songs go, the more opportunities are seized by this quintet to veer the audience into new territory. Among these more progressively forged compositions is the slower moving semi-ballad Fortitude, which features some occasional flourishes of Dream Theater and Queensryche in how the guitar interplays with the keyboards, though the continual dominant presence of vocalist Duke Pelkinen's deep bear-like barks and groans and a few heavy guitar patches keep it from getting too ethereal. Likewise, the occasional off-kilter rhythmic devices employed between the flowing melodies and lighter moments of unity prove an effective touch, while Pelkinen's guttural import provide a long extreme metal counterbalance to what is almost a solitary anthem with some power tendencies, alongside the dynamic mixture of thrashing chaos and epic grandeur of the Christus Solemn. These longer cuts also showcase Valhalla's ability as a soloist, blending a tasteful melodic approach with some shredding technicality to masterful results. Classic wine from Refined Vineyard, OMNIUM GATHERUM is that band that just keeps getting better with time, and some may look to the past for their finest hour, but the present has seen them at the highest point. Though time around they've veered a tad closer to more progressive and long-winded end of the spectrum normally associated with a band like Bellecore, they've retained more of an impact-based demeanor in line with the more traditional sound of dark tranquility and simply amped up with a greater degree of structural development. This album's flavour also leans more heavily to the keyboard-oriented electronic side of the coin, which makes the inclusion of a cover of Israeli's psytrance electronic group Infected Mushrooms in front of me, which has naturally been given a dark and metallic interpretation, all the more fitting. Is still ultimately an album that will play their best to its existing fan base, but it could prove a pretty listen to those who enjoy a smattering of gothic influences after the mold of Before the Dawn and the progressive maze of Persephone. So there we go, guys. Let me know in the comments down below what you thought was the better album. Other than that, thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.